Coming up on Pirate News Network, I'll show you the dangers of the Costa Concordia cleanup and why rescue divers believe it is a life risk they are willing to take. This story and more on Pirate News Network.
From the School of Communication Studio at East Carolina University, this is Pirate News Network.
Hi, I'm LEILA Falls. Thanks for joining me on Pirate News Network. Road congestion is cranking up costs, according to the Treasury Department. Congested roads are costing $100 billion a year in wasted fuel and time. Traffic costs the average motorist approximately $400 annually. The Department of Transportation says it would need at least $85 billion over the next 20 years to bring current highway congestions to good condition. Last year, a new eligibility standard was issued at ECU, but many are still puzzled by the starfish.
The new retention policy came from ECU's anchored rule for a 2.0 to graduate, which is also the national GPA for financial eligibility.
Instead of letting those students kind of have a revolving door, stopping that, which ultimately helps the students not go into debt and actually be able to graduate.
Professor syllabi and signatures on emails, word of the academic standard spread, especially with the catchy marketing phrase, "Don't get shipwrecked, know your numbers."
We're pirates, so obviously everything we do is going to have a little bit of a pirate or nautical theme.
There used to be a seminar for academic shipwrecks, informing students on rules and regulations on how to raise their GPA.
Pretty quickly that students didn't want to come and just sit in an auditorium. They were texting, they were doing all the things that they would do in class that got them in trouble in the first place. So we had to come up with some idea that really kind of talked to them in their language.
Instead, a module was created to inform students about the ins and outs of ECU policies that takes only 10 to 15 minutes to complete.
We're getting starfish because we ultimately want to assist our students to be better students, to ultimately graduate and be productive.
What is this mysterious starfish tab that appears on Blackboard?
It works through the course management system Blackboard, and it allows faculty to inform students of their academic performance.
The name originated from a poem that focused on the theme of rescuing starfish that were stranded on a beach. 26,000
notifications raised this semester, so that's a lot, and about 43% of them were positive notifications. The academic difficulty related notifications were at about 44%.
Starfish email notifications give positive or negative feedback for all students and notify their advisors as well, unlike ECU's past early alert system, which only targeted first-year students.
I think it's been very positive and very helpful.
Starfish is constantly updating with the help of faculty and student feedback since the company ran the pilot last spring.
Online games are
the source.
Online games, articles, random facts, all a part of the just Google it activity. If you have a Google account, the new privacy policy has been in effect since March 1st. The company will keep track of everything users do on the site, from YouTube to Gmail, Maps, as Google says, for a better experience. CNN spoke to one of the senior lawyers who helped draft the policy, who said that this will, by using information that you've shared with Google to make Google products, services more useful for you. Information that users have from each service will be combined. Many watchdogs feel that this is more of an invading privacy than improving the Googling it action. Coming up, I'll tell you about the cause of the bad grammar flu that you can catch online.
Coming up next, I'll show you the dangers of the Concordia cleanup and why divers say it is a life risk they are willing to take.
Many social media users don't pay attention to correct punctuation or spelling. It's the flu that's been diagnosed during the Facebook and Twitter era. Facebook has more than 800 million users, and Twitter has 500 million, where grammar is forgotten. Brock Carter, who manages social media for the High Plains Food Bank, believes it's just the way our society works, fast and shortened. Chocolate can sweeten up your diet. Studies show it's okay to be a chocoholic. The University of California discovered that people who eat chocolate regularly had a lower body mass index, or BMI. Chocolate's properties increase metabolism and may offset the amount of calories consumed. The head researcher cautions consumers that studies do not indicate that chocolate lovers can eat unbounded amounts of chocolate. Smartphones can whip you into shape. CNN's Holly Brantley met up with Stacy, who lost over 100 pounds thanks to the FitnessPal app. When her trainer is off the clock, this app keeps her going. You start your goal weight and it's logged in, and you eat, whatever you eat is tracked. If your meal isn't on the choices list in the app, the barcode scanner does the math and finds out the nutritional value for you. Pretty smart. Carbs, proteins, fat, sodium, and sugars are tracked, as well as diet apps. There's Noom for Android, which sets goals with smiley faces and colors to indicate good or bad food decisions. There's exercise apps that helps you go, that increases your walking pace so you're running by week 6. So if you can't make it to the gym, there's an app for that. Rescue crews have been cleaning up the grave sites of the recent cruise ship horror. Raquel Stockton has the story.
Nearly 20 dead, thousands of gallons of fuel poured into the ocean, and a cruise ship destroyed. This was the reality for rescue teams of the Costa Concordia earlier this month. Officials are calling it one of the worst disasters in history.
As the agency responsible for verifying the safety of foreign vessels which visit our ports, the Coast Guard has established the most rigorous port state control program in the world.
The Italian Coast Guard has since been cleaning up the aftermath of the ship as the site changes from a rescue to a recovery and poses new threats for divers.
Those that do it for a living, probably not as dangerous. Those that don't do it for a living, extremely dangerous.
Mike Campbell, a former rescue diver and now scuba instructor at East Carolina University, knows firsthand what it takes to work on a wreck like the Concordia.
A short amount of time that you get to someone who might be underwater or might be trapped underwater, and you have to get to them pretty quickly. If you know it's going to be a recovery, then you have all the time that you need.
The Concordia is something that many say they cannot imagine seeing, let alone having to clean up after.
Having to go after people that pass away in such a horrible event would be awful.
That's too much for me.
Shift changes in the wreck had caused rescue operations to be called off for divers. Eventually, the site changed from a rescue to a recovery.
Well, it's always a sad thing, is because you know that you're no longer going to save somebody's life. You're just trying to recover either the remains of the person for the family so that they can have some type of closure.
Not only can this change of operation lose time for the victims, but it can have devastating effects on the divers as well.
It also becomes difficult depending on where you're going. If you're retrieving, let's say, bodies that are in an aircraft that have gone down, and you have a lot of bodies inside, that can have a really psychological effect on the diver, on the recovery and search diver. And in the past, they've actually had divers who've done that wind up having PTSD.
Raquel Stockton, Pirate News Network.
Thanks for joining us here at PNN, the network where Pirate News anchors.